can decide whether it's good or not. For how many of you is this your first upper division biology course? Let's see a show of hands. Be brave. Okay, so some of you have taken Biology 101 then, apparently. And some of you are not biology majors, I know. So things are going to be a little bit different. Not only is this a tablet class, but we're moving into upper division classes, and there are going to be some differences between what you experienced before and what you're going to start experiencing today. Speaking of what you're experiencing today, how many of you currently have an active connection to the internet? People have been checking email. Is anybody not? I do not. So that's going to change things up a little bit this morning, but that's fine. There are a lot of you, and we're all sharing bandwidth unless you have a cellular account. So if you're downloading something off of Netflix, then if you can turn that off, I'd appreciate it. Normally when you come into class, I'll have a screen like this on the board that has something that says, while you're waiting. This is your opportunity to start giving me feedback into practice material that we've learned in the course before we actually start at 11 o'clock prompt. So when you come in, please, if you're sitting there and you're just talking to a friend, if you also want to work on whatever activity I've got for you to start with, that's great. It gives me feedback on how much you understand and what we need to be doing in class that day to help improve everybody's understanding of the course material. So today is going to be a pretty standard first day of class. We're going to do an introduction of me. We'll do an introduction to the tablet program. We'll talk a little bit about course mechanics. We will talk a little tiny bit about the syllabus. And that's the bulk of what we talk about today. Focusing on the bottom. What can we do to help you succeed in class this term, given that you're one face in a sea of all of your fellow students? So first, an introduction to me, briefly. Why am I here? Not just in terms of genetically, why am I here? That was sperm meets egg. But why am I standing in front of you teaching you a class in genetics? One of the reasons is I'm a geneticist. So I'm a practicing geneticist. I run a research lab full of, well, last year anyway, it was full of your fellow students across the street in Science 1, third floor, facing this building, facing Science 2. And so this year, the sex ratio in my lab has flipped a little bit. So we've changed a little bit. And we're going to talk in part about sex determination and how genetics tells us whether or not we're going to be male or female this year. And so now I've got way more women than the one that's in this picture. So it's about 50-50 now in my lab. And all of us together study this worm, the nematode Caenorhabditis briggsii. That's a species name. You might have heard of the nematode C. elegans, more commonly known in biology. That's a close relative of this species, and that's definitely not to scale. They're not that sized, wouldn't fit in the building otherwise. They're microscopic. An adult that size is about 1 millimeter in real life. It's about the size of a comma. So all of us together work on studying various different aspects of C. briggsii genetics. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here and started working on C. briggsii. I started where you were, but about 1,000 miles north in Eugene, Oregon, where I was a duck at the University of Oregon. I was a BA in biochemistry. So that meant I spent 2 years learning German so that I could get a BA instead of BS and try to distinguish myself among all the other Bachelor of Science. I mean, obviously, if you're getting a science degree, you're going to get a BS, right? So I decided to get an arts degree instead. And in Eugene, what organism did I study? What's the organism on the top? Beer. Yeah, I did. By the way, I'm recording this. I record all of my lectures, so after every class, I'm going to post what we did in class as a YouTube video, so everybody gets access to those notes. What you'll hear is my voice, and what you'll see on the video is whatever's happening up here on the screen. So if I use the laser pointer tool, or if I switch the laser pointer tool to a lightsaber, for those of you that are Star Wars fans, and if I draw annotations on the screen, those will all show up in the video. So basically you get the 45 or 50 or however many minutes of whatever we're doing in class to look back on as notes. And I'm saying this because I should probably cover the microphone so that my parents don't hear that, yes, I did drink beer in college before I was 21. But that's yeast, right? Our favorite microorganism, the one that makes wine, beer, bread leavening possible. But I studied yeast genetics as an undergraduate. When I graduated with my degree, I moved to Seattle, the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center, where I studied mouse noses. No one's even blinking. This is amazing. Mouse noses. So I studied the genetics of smell, how genes that are in our genomes help us detect odors that are floating around in the air, and they stick to the insides of our noses, and how our genes help us accomplish this pretty miraculous feat of distinguishing smells from each other. When I decided to get a PhD, I worked on yet another species, the stickleback fish, which is shown up here, which is a great genetics organism to study. And then, as I said, now I study worms. So I went from fish to fish bait, and that's my life in genetics. Does this qualify me to be your teacher? You can tell me at the end of the semester when you do course evaluations. So the main reason that I'm here and the reason that the biology department hired me a couple of years ago, 4 years ago or so, to teach genetics is just that I'm farther down the path of learning genetics than you probably are. One of my goals in the course, I have several, one of my goals in the course is for you to ask questions. So I hope everybody gets comfortable with the idea of please ask questions during class. What's even more important to me is that you challenge me. Because I don't know everything about genetics. And all of you have different experiences with genetics. Some things you know, some things you think you know. Same is true for me. I just have done it longer. That's why I'm standing up in front of the class and you're sitting there. That does not mean I know every answer to every question. And so I really do want you to challenge me with questions. Think critically, and when something is unclear or when you think I'm wrong, tell me, please. Bless you. Okay, so that's enough about me, and we're going to have an introduction of our tablet colleague, who's going to help us out this term, or at least the first few weeks of the term, with any technical issues that we might encounter with tablets.
Hello everyone, my name is Emily. I'm with the Discovery Hub inside the library. I am here to help you with your tablets, your cell phones, and your computers. Again, like he said, who is connected to the internet and who is not. I'm here to help you connect to the internet. I'm here to help you with your apps. I'm here to help with any technical issues. If your iPad is crashing, if your phones are glitching, anything, come to me. Come to the hub. We are there for you. And I'm also here for your teacher, so if you guys have any questions, come to the hub. We're located in the library with the big TV screens. And a little fun fact for you guys, we are shaped like the bulldog paw. And if you were to aerial view us, we are shaped like the little dog paw. So, fun fact for you guys for today. And again, my name is Emily, and it's very nice to meet you all. You guys are a big class. I love the people. So, nice to meet you all.
Outstanding. So yes, thank you for being here and for helping us out whenever we may or may not have any technical issues.
If you guys need any help.
We'll get into a little bit of tablet use in the near future. Okay. So now I want to tell you a little bit about the structure of the class. As I said, this is probably going to be very different than what you've experienced before in a class at Fresno State or any other institution of higher education. We're going to do flipped classroom approach this term. You might be familiar, you might not. So brief definition. What I'm asking you to do, please, is to look at the course syllabus, see what the reading assignment is for today, and do that before class. Sound familiar? Sounds like every class you've ever taken, right? Please do the reading before class. The difference is that when you come to class, having read the material, my hope is that you bring questions about what you didn't understand about what you tried to read. There are parts of the textbook that are easy to read, there are parts that are difficult to read. What we need to spend our valuable in-class time doing, the time that you're paying for, is to help me help you learn the material. Me standing here talking at you, which unfortunately I'm going to do a lot of today, but normally not, me talking at you doesn't help you necessarily learn the material. What will help you learn the material you need to learn is when you try to access the material first by yourself, at home, wherever, reading, identify the parts that you don't understand or that you're unfamiliar with or that you have questions about. Please bring those to class. Most of our in-class time is going to be you asking me questions or saying, Dr. Ross, I don't understand this concept, and us doing activities and exercises during these 50 minutes that we have together, because that's how you make the best use of me and my expertise in genetics. So your success and my success and the class's success hinges on bringing questions to class, trying to self-assess just by reading your understanding of the material before we've even talked about it in class. Look at the chapter. You don't have to read in depth. If you're short on time, skim, absolutely. Look at the topics that are in the chapter. Pick one section of the chapter that sounds least familiar to you or that you're more interested in, and come to class and say, hey, Dr. Ross, when no one else asks a question, you can be the one person to get the pick of what we do that day. I will come prepared with activities and exercises. So there will always be 50 minutes worth of things to do. I would prefer that you help drive the conversation and not me just tell you this is what we're doing for the day. It's called flipped classroom. You access the material first, and in class, I don't just stand up here and yap. Okay, that reminds me of that one goal again. Remember my goal? To prove to you that I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, and you're going to help me do that and achieve that by asking questions. Okay. Now, if my laptop had internet access at the moment, which it does not for whatever reason, we would watch this movie. Now it's homework. So it's like a 2-minute interview with Carl Sagan, and he lays out in a very eloquent manner, better than I could ever do, why it's important to study biology, why it's important to understand science. So I'd like you to watch the URLs there, so don't do it now. But after class, before next class, please watch this 2.5 or something minute movie. Right? It will hopefully convince you why it's important to be here. And he ends with the point that asking questions is critical. Because if you don't ask questions and if you don't challenge authority, the people that wind up governing us, politicians that is, are people that often don't know anything about science. It's critical for you. No, it's true, but it's also funny. It's funny and true. Our politicians, very few of them have backgrounds in science, but we're a science-driven society. So that's why it's critical for me to help you become knowledgeable citizens or immigrants or undocumented immigrants, right? So that you can have a more informed hand in helping our nation, our world thrive. So that's essentially what he says. Are there any questions at this point? Anything at all? Before we get into slightly more boring minutia. This is the first place where you get to ask me things. Please.
About the reading assignment.
Sure.
So on the schedule, so when it says like the date and the reading assignment, is that what we have to read before that day? Or
Correct.
Is that what we read?
So for the reading assignments, when it says on the syllabus for Wednesday, January 20th, reading assignment is course syllabus, that means I would like you to have read the course syllabus for our class meeting today. So when it's the date, that's the date that by the time you come to class, you should have read that content for that date. Other questions? So we're in the syllabus context right now, so especially if you have questions about course mechanics, the syllabus, anything you read that was confusing, scary, earth-shattering. There were some good things in there, and nobody caught them. One thing that I've been asked to talk about, which is not in the syllabus, which you might have heard of recently, is the possibility that the California State University faculty go on strike this semester. And there's not much to say yet, if it happens, it's going to happen pretty quickly, and who knows for how long and so forth. And my goal is not to cross picket lines, but to also do everything I can to help you study and succeed in the class, regardless of what happens with the union. And whether or not that might actually take advantage of the fact that we all have these things and we can learn independently, and that's one of the goals of the course, is to help you become self-learners. Maybe we'll get through this together if the faculty decide to strike. That's all I'm going to say about that now, because there really is no information at this point. I just want you to know that it's a possibility this semester.
Same on our end too. Same on our end too.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
I don't think we're gonna go.
So let's see. Critical parts of the syllabus then. Just a few things. You'll notice on the front page there's a Blackboard URL. For those of you that have been having trouble getting to the course website, that's the URL to use. Don't use browser history website URLs for Blackboard because they'll take you to the old site. Google Classroom. Please sign up for our Google Classroom. This is basically a parallel system to Blackboard that I will also use. So we're going to be using a few different websites to manage the class this term. One is Blackboard. Blackboard is where you can access things that I present in class. So for example, right now you can go, if you have internet access, you can go to Blackboard and download these PDF slides that I'm presenting with right now. So you get a copy of the lecture slides every day before class starts. I upload them to Blackboard in advance. So you can all take advantage of them. One of the ways that students tend to use classes or tablets in the Discovery courses is to download the PDF and then take notes. Right? What is Dr. Ross talking about? Right? So you can use a number of apps to help you, learn to write, to learn to annotate and to annotate PDFs. So some that the Discovery Hub supports, some of the apps that you might use for downloading PDFs and then writing on them, taking notes on them, would be Acrobat Reader, which is one of the suggested apps in the syllabus. Another one that I suggested is Zodo, X-O-D-O, which is another free PDF reader and annotator app that's available on all the platforms that we have, tablet platforms in the classroom. So those are just a couple to consider trying, if you're interested in taking notes in this manner on your tablet. I've seen other students just type notes into a text edit program during class. Some students choose to audio record or video record me. That's fine if you want to. As I said, I already do some recording that I post for everybody to use. Does anybody else have any other ways they're planning on using their tablet for note-taking this semester? Apps that you're using that I haven't mentioned yet?
Come on. Evernote? Has anybody ever heard of Evernote?
Evernote's a good one.
No? Okay, well, you guys say no.
So things to check out. And of course, the Discovery Hub's a great place to go for support for all of these apps that are listed in the syllabus. So if you need help using any of the apps, the Madden Library, first floor, Discovery Hub. So please sign up for our Google Classroom course. The URL's there. All you have to do when you go there is use the add code that's listed underneath to get into this specific class. This is very critical for your success. Only use your mail.fresnostate.edu email account for anything we do in this class, including signing up for your Google Classroom. If you use a personal Google account, that will horribly and irreparably break things, and you'll not get some points that you probably should have. So everything we do in class that's electronic needs to use your mail.fresnostate.edu account. Okay. That will help me help you make sure you get the points that you've earned. Questions or concerns by this point? Anything we've talked about yet? Okay. What are we using for a textbook this term? Who brought their textbook today? Raise your hand. Nobody brought the textbook today?
Raise your hand high.
Okay. What is our textbook this term? There will be a quiz on the syllabus at the end of the class today. We will use our tablets to take this quiz. What's our textbook for the term? Concepts of Biology and Biology. Where did you get them? Or where do you get them? OpenStax. So we're using freely accessible, downloadable PDF textbooks this class. So you don't have to buy one, which hopefully you all figured out already. I don't know why everybody's being so quiet. Right. Nobody actually did bring a physical textbook, right? Okay, good. Yeah, good thing you haven't bought it yet. Yeah, don't buy anything. Please, you already bought a tablet. Or partly bought a tablet, whatever. Those of you that received the grant. So that's one of the ways we're offsetting cost. So you pay for a tablet, but we're going to use a free downloadable PDF textbook. And that's what, on the back page when we talk about reading assignments, that's what those two there are two different textbooks we're using. So sometimes the reading assignment will read Biology 15.3, for example. That's the textbook that's just called Biology. If it says, as it does for Monday's class, Monday the 25th, it says Concepts 9.1, read Concepts of Biology, section 9.1. Below it, it says Biology 3.5. That's the other textbook that's just called Biology, chapter 3, section 5. So two textbooks, don't pay for anything. Please, I beg you. Again, my goal for your reading, again, this is just the structure of the course. Skim. Mainly the use of the textbooks is for reference for us in this class. Mostly what we do in class is going to be what's going to show up on midterms, the midterm and the final exam. In-class work. Exercises that we do together to help us practice what we've learned. There will be very little testing on factual recall. Some questions might be multiple choice, but it's multiple choice answers that will require you to do a calculation first to get the answer. It's not just going to be what is the definition of this term, A, B, C, D. So read the chapter material for learning the vocabulary and for picking up basic concepts, but what we practice in class is what's going to be tested on. So that's how I intend you to use the textbooks. They're for your reference. If I say something in class and I forget to define the word that I use and nobody happens to raise their hand and say, hey, what the hell are you talking about? You have at least one reference to go to, the textbooks, if not Wikipedia, which I definitely encourage you to use as well. Does anybody have any questions about the exams? We've got two, midterm and a final. The day before each exam, the class period will be devoted entirely to you studying for the exam. So review session, it says on the schedule. So what I want to do is, for those review sessions, like every class period, but especially for the day before the exam, come to class with questions. I don't prepare anything for the review sessions. You have to bring me questions, and I answer them in front of the class. If you don't ask questions, then we just sit here and zone out or text our friends or whatever. So what does a typical class look like? I'll be very brief because it's kind of boring. You'll see it next class period. We're going to start always with one of these while you're waiting. Do some activity that involves critical thinking, analysis, evaluation. If you show up early, participate. If you don't, that's okay. These are never for credit. It's just for you to help you have an opportunity to practice course material. So those before class things are never for credit. It's just for you. During class, as I said, we'll do exercises, activities. They'll involve using the tablet to answer questions, to share documents with each other. Sometimes it'll be to draw things. Maybe we'll do an interpretive dance now and again. I'll ask some students up here to play out DNA replication or something like that. That doesn't require a tablet unless somebody wants to record it and post it on YouTube. I'll talk, you'll talk, we'll have group discussions, exercises, activities. At the end of class, there will usually be a short writing assignment, like sentences, not paragraphs. Help me learn what you learned during that class. Help me learn what you didn't learn during that class. Those are often 4 points. And there will be spontaneous quizzes now and again, which are mostly participation points. So if you're in class and you take the quiz, you get the points. It's to provide you chances to get feedback on what you know. So you've noticed, probably, if you looked at the syllabus, that there is no homework part of the grade. There's no, dear students, please read chapter 4 and then answer questions 4.1, 4.3, 4.10. So what's your grade based on? Midterm, final, participation. What percentage of the grade is based on participation? 40%. How many percent of the points do you have to get an A? 80. So I do a 20, 40, 60, 80 split. So if you're in the bottom fifth of the percentile range, 0 to 20%, that's F, 20 to 40, D, 40 to 60, C, which unfortunately means that tests are hard. Because I don't test you in the ways you're used to. Because I'm not just testing factual recall, and it's not all multiple choice. I'm focusing this term more on application of material, which means you're going to be asked to do things that you probably haven't been before much in classes. To synthesize information, to critically analyze information. Don't just interpret the graph, but make me a graph of what you think would happen if this were the case. So some sort of scary types of questions. And that's why the percentiles are broken farther apart. So you get the top 20% of points, 80 to 100% of the points, you get an A. But note, as I said, and as you said, 40% of the points are based entirely on participation, quizzes, attendance. If you do not come to class, you lose out on 40% of the points, which means that the best you can do is earn a C. If you get 100% of all of the points other than the participation and attendance points. You have to be here because you have to practice the material, and if you're not here, you won't do that with us. So that's the way to succeed, be here. At the end of every term, and you'll get your opportunity as well, I hope you're already taking notes about what you like and don't like about me. At the end of every term, I ask this class to please, it's one of these end of the class writing exercises, 2 minutes. At the end of last term, I asked the students sitting where you're sitting right now, what advice do you have for you, sitting here today, to succeed in this class, as a tablet class? And this is a word cloud of what they suggested. So the size of the word basically means that showed up a lot. If it's a bigger word, it showed up a lot in the comments that they left for you. So instead of showing you 95 different individual comments, which would be tiny, this gives maybe a better overall perspective of what they were trying to tell you about success in the class. I don't know how to interpret the word class. I guess that means come to class. Class is important. What are the next biggest words? Videos. So we've got lecture, we've got videos, questions, tablet. I think you can figure out tablet, right? Use your tablet, of course. So videos, questions. The vast majority of students last term said that the videos that I'm capturing right now on the tablet, the lecture material, they used a lot to study. Before the exams, before every class, they were reviewing last class's lectures on YouTube. They were using the videos to study for finals and for the midterms. And that was vastly what they reported to me to tell you about how to succeed in the class. In fact, I had one student, this is horrible. I hate to, Dr. Yoon, please don't listen. This is probably not something I should share with my colleagues. Everybody knows that Everybody knows that you're supposed to take handwritten notes, right? Because that reinforces your memory. It's better for long-term retention if you hear something and then you write it down. I had one student last term, I will never forget this now, who said, I stopped writing things and started paying attention. Which is really deep. So because she knew that she could go back and listen to me if she wanted to, and hear what we did during class, she didn't feel like she needed to also be madly scribbling down everything I was saying. So this may or may not be a good pedagogical practice. You should still take notes while we go. But I do hope that in other ways, maybe this does free you up a little bit to think more and process more during class as opposed to just writing and taking notes and then having to spend extra time outside of class doing the reflection and the processing. Okay, what was it that we really learned in class today? I know there was a lot of detail, but what was the main point? Those sort of big picture questions. Okay. So almost done for today. I just want to share a few assignments that are going to be due for next class. In Google Classroom, the way Google Classroom works is a website just like Blackboard. You log on to Google Classroom, and there will be a page that's kind of like the announcements page of Blackboard, where you see announcements that have been posted. In Google Classroom, these announcements will usually, for our class, be exercises that I've assigned to you to complete. It'll be one post, essentially, for every assignment. Today, after class, immediately after class, I'm going to post 2 assignments to be completed for next class. They're easy, don't worry about it. But do them by next class. One of them is a PDF that I'd like you to download. You download it from Google Classroom. Read it. It's 1 page, I think, maybe 2. And then it asks you to sign this form. So what this is because I'm heavily invested in teaching with technology, I'm always trying to make classes better by incorporating technology. I want to help you, not harm you, by having tablets in the classroom. The way I figure out whether or not this is working for any of you, that is having tablets in the classroom, is to conduct my own research program on whether or not you are succeeding with tablet computers or not. I'm happy to report that so far, my data from students like you have suggested that yes, tablets do help students earn better grades in this class. So congratulations on choosing a tablet class to enroll in. To continue this research, I'm still doing research. I would like to research you this semester, all of you. And in order for the university to allow me to study you as human subjects, I have to get your permission. So that's what this PDF form is about. It's me asking you permission to use you as a test subject. Now, I've already mentioned that I have data that suggests that using tablets is effective. I'm just trying to figure out how effective it is. So I'm not trying to foist some charlatan technology trick on you and make you use tablets. They work. Just trying to figure out how and in what situations. So the 2-page PDF that I'm asking you to read and sign just tells you what the risks are of being involved in this study, of which there are very few, other than getting shocked while you plug your tablet in or something like that. But I do want you to take this seriously, please. This form has 2 lines at the bottom. Either sign that you will participate or sign that you won't. The choice is totally up to you. The reason that I'm assigning this to you as a PDF document is because this is an important workflow that we're going to use throughout the semester. That I send you a PDF file, you do an exercise that's contained within that PDF file, and then you send PDF back to me with your drawings on it. Or you start taking tests on the tablet computer, and you send me the bubbled in or X'd out multiple choice. So you circle A as the answer. I need you to be able to send me back those PDF files that you've drawn on so that I can collect them and grade them and award points. So this is the first way to practice this. So Google Classroom, I'll send out a Blackboard announcement once I've posted this exercise. And then you go to the classroom via website, download the PDF, annotate it by signing you will or you will not participate in the study, and then send it back to the Google Classroom exercise. Because this is all confusing, and because I'm a teacher, not a student, so I can't show you what the student view of Google Classroom looks like, I've made a video. It's already on YouTube. So go to the YouTube URL, It's on the front page of the syllabus. Our class's YouTube stream, where I'm going to post all of the videos for the class. There's one there right now on how to annotate a PDF. So between that video, asking me, and asking the Discovery Hub for help, this will be our first practice workflow on how to annotate and submit PDFs to Google Classroom. And it's critical to participate in this. You get participation points for completing this assignment, not for agreeing to be a study subject. So I give you the same number of points whether or not you say you will or will not participate, in other words. It would be unethical for me to do otherwise. I'm not coercing you to say yes by giving you extra points. So there are points behind this, it's just for participation, and it's because I want to know that when it comes to taking a test on the tablet, you are able to do this process. Download a PDF, work on it, send it back to me. Now we're going to take this quiz. We're going to use the app Socrative Student. So if you have that app installed, please open it. If not, and especially if you don't have your tablet today or if you don't have this app installed, you can email me and say, hey, I wasn't ready today. I'll give you a pass one time. So you open Socrative Student. When it asks you what room you want to enter, you enter that number, 240820.
If you don't have your tablet, it will work on your phone.
Also true.
Yes.
Or if you don't have the app on your phone either, you can also go, you can only do this once, to the website b.socrative.com. It's a web-based app, so you can use a web browser or the app to do this activity. So Socrative Student or b.socrative.com. Enter the room number. At some point it will ask you for your name. Please note that they ask you for your name, last name, comma, first name. Please follow that. It helps me with grading. And then it'll ask you a few questions about the syllabus. This is low stakes. Feel free to collaborate with a neighbor if you want. If you want to discuss the syllabus before you answer, it's fine. I'd rather you figure out the answers to the questions than try to do it on your own and get them wrong. When you're done, you'll see a spinning icon that says you're waiting for the teacher to do something. There'll be a splash screen on the device that says you're done, but the teacher needs to do something. That's your signal that you can close the app at that point, or close the website. Okay. And when you're done with this, we're done with class for today. I will see you again on Friday. If you've got any technical issues, again, please raise your hand. We'll come around and try to address them. This quiz will actually be open for the next hour or so you don't have to successfully complete it right now. You've got a little bit of time. Okay? So I'm looking forward to a good semester. Again, please raise your hand if you've got any technical issues. And I'll see you on Friday.
Yeah, if you need help connecting to the internet or anything, I'm here. Okay. Yeah, you need help connecting to the internet? Okay. I'll be with you in just 1 second.
All right.
Yes.
And this is why the quiz stays available for a little while. So you've still got an opportunity to answer.
Like if you're going to yeah, it'll be just a second.
So that's one. Complete and return, there are 2 Google Classroom assignments. The other one is way easier. Way easier. Let me see a show of hands. This is, again, raise your hand up high. Who knows what a selfie is? Okay, if you don't know what a selfie is, ask your neighbor after we're done with class. The second assignment is take a selfie and send it to me. And I use these to help me learn your names. So you take your own picture, you attach it back to the Google Classroom assignment. So this makes you learn how to use the camera app on your tablet. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a selfie. We could take your picture for you if you don't want to have this, the arms sticking out towards the camera. We can help. So again, this is for a purpose. It's because we're going to be using the camera app during class, so I want to give you one opportunity to show me that you know how to do it. Plus, it helps me learn your names, to have your picture and your name associated with it. So that's what's due for next class. PDF annotation and taking a selfie. Please download the 2 textbook PDFs. The URLs are in the syllabus. Here's one other thing I'd like you to read. And then just after that, we're going to start this exit quiz. Participation mainly, it's about the syllabus. Here's a URL. Remember, this PDF is on Blackboard, so you can download these slides. It has the URL. You don't have to write it down now. You can if you want to, or take a picture of the screen. Read this article. It's fascinating. It's about genetics, and it's the way we're going to start our conversation about genetics this semester. And again, like the textbooks, this is a long article. Skim it. Don't read it to fully understand it. There's a lot of terminology in it that we haven't covered in class yet, obviously. But this article is about this woman in the bottom right here. Does anybody notice anything particularly curious about her morphology? Extremely skinny legs and arms. In fact, in the article, the author of the article describes it as somebody who put some twigs in a snowman for arms. That's how the author's words. So she has really, 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 really skinny arms and legs. No muscle development or anything like that. She shares a mutation with the woman that's shown on the left. So they are both mutants. They both share a mutation, except the woman on the left is one of Canada's most accomplished hurdlers, won a bronze medal at the last Summer Olympics. And it's a really interesting story about how the woman on the right, who has no background in science whatsoever, did research on her own using the internet to self-diagnose her mutation. And then identified, just by looking at a picture of this Canadian sprinter or hurdler, that they share a mutation in common. It's really interesting, sort of, to me anyway. I hope you find it also interesting. Popular science sort of detective story about genetics and how it influences human physiology and morphology. So again, 2 Google Classroom assignments, download the textbooks, and then please read this article. Just skim it if you don't have time. But think about these 4 questions. After you read this, ask yourself, what does it really take to become a successful geneticist? What sort of personal characteristics do you need if you want to be a geneticist, or if you want to even understand genetics? Okay. How did this woman on the right do things that you totally didn't expect when you read that part of the article? You say, wow, that really took some courage, or I didn't expect her to do anything like that. So just take a few notes while you read this. And then what ethical issues are related? One of the main goals, as you read in the syllabus of this class, is to help you be better world citizens. So to understand the connection between how genetics impacts our society and our culture. So what ethical issues are raised as you read this?